Have you ever wondered why some people seem to dislike you? Even when all you've shown them is kindness? You go out of your way to support them. You're there when they call. You listen, help, and forgive. And yet they dismiss you. They treat you with suspicion, ridicule your efforts, or worse, turn against you. Why does this happen? Carl Jung uncovered something that flips our common understanding of human nature on its head. Most of us believe that kindness breeds more kindness. But Jung's deep exploration of the human psyche revealed a darker truth. Sometimes your kindness doesn't soften people, it triggers them. And understanding this truth might just protect you from being drained or destroyed by your own goodness. Jung once said, "Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is." What does this mean for kind-hearted people like you? It means that your kindness doesn't just shine light, it can also cast shadows. When you're consistently patient, generous, or forgiving, you're not just being noble. You're holding up a mirror to someone else's hidden wounds, flaws, and rejected parts, their shadow. The shadow, according to Jung, is everything within us that we repress or deny: jealousy, bitterness, insecurity, guilt. And when someone hasn't done their inner work, your presence reminds them of what they've buried. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Instead of thinking, "Wow, this person is kind," their subconscious reacts with, "This person makes me feel small." Your light exposes their darkness. And this leads to something Jung called shadow projection. They start to see you as a threat, not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. You awaken parts of themselves they've long refused to face. Your calm makes their anxiety louder. Your compassion makes their anger sharper. Your strength makes their insecurities unbearable. And the more consistently kind you are, the more their shadow is activated. It's not logical. It's deeply psychological. Jung also said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And your authenticity challenges people who are still living behind masks. Your kindness becomes an emotional confrontation. Let's dig deeper. When someone builds their identity around toughness, cynicism, or control, your genuine kindness disrupts their persona. Jung called this false self the persona, the social mask we wear to survive. If your behavior doesn't match their worldview, you become a threat. Your kindness feels like a challenge to their entire way of being, and this leads to projection. The defense mechanism Jung described as people attributing their own unwanted traits onto others. If they can't face their own lack of empathy or love, they label your kindness as fake, naive, or manipulative. Here's the twist. Jung discovered that people often attack the very qualities they most long for. They envy your emotional stability, your ability to be kind without condition. But instead of saying, "I wish I had that," they convince themselves you're a fraud. Because if your kindness is real, they have no excuse for their cruelty. And this is the heart of projection. They accuse you of manipulation, because they themselves are manipulative. They claim you're pretending, because they're always pretending. They believe you're using kindness to control others, because that's what they would do. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. So if your kindness irritates someone, it's not about you. It's a reflection of their inner conflict. But what if your kindness also carries unconscious motives? What if, without realizing it, you're using kindness to win approval, affection, or control how others see you? This is what Jung called the helper's neurosis. It's when people use goodness not as a true expression of self, but as a strategy to feel worthy. And ironically, this kind of kindness often backfires. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels needy. And people can sense it. So how do you know the difference? Jung urged us to do shadow work, to ask ourselves, am I kind because it's who I truly am? Or am I kind because I want to be liked? Am I giving freely, or am I trying to earn something through my kindness? True kindness, Jung said, comes from a place of wholeness, not from emptiness. When we give from overflow rather than lack, we stop needing a response. We no longer depend on praise or reciprocation. And this is where transformation begins. Jung said, your vision becomes clear only when you can look into your own heart. That's the beginning of emotional maturity, what Jung called emotional sobriety. Like sobriety from addiction, it means you stop depending on others to feel good about yourself. You stop needing others to validate your kindness. You offer compassion without losing yourself. You help without becoming a savior. You support without controlling. That's called conscious compassion, another Jungian ideal. And yet, even from this space of clarity, some people will still resent your kindness. Jung uncovered something called the scapegoat archetype. In cultures and communities, when someone lives outside the norm, when they're different. Pure-hearted or too honest, they often become a target. Why? Because their mere existence challenges the group's unconscious values. You being kind in a cynical world forces others to question their own choices, and instead of changing, they attack the messenger. They unite against you, not because of your actions, but because your presence exposes the collective shadow. This is why kindness can sometimes feel dangerous, why loving people attract hate, why healers are often hurt. But Jung also said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. So what happens when being your true, kind, authentic self invites rejection? It becomes a spiritual test, a psychological refinement. You begin to ask, am I giving because I expect something? Am I rescuing people to feel superior? Am I helping others to avoid facing myself? Jung called this the rescuer-victim dynamic. Many good people unconsciously recreate their childhood roles, trying to earn love by being useful. And they often attract people who eventually punish them for it. Why? Because relationships built on inequality always collapse. If you're always the giver, someone will eventually resent receiving. And this cycle will repeat until you realize you don't need to earn love through sacrifice. Jung taught that healing begins with integration, accepting both the light and shadow within yourself, being kind without needing to be the hero, giving without becoming a martyr. And once you do this, everything changes. You stop seeking validation. You stop over-explaining your intentions. You stop absorbing others' projections. You stay centered in your truth, even when misunderstood. Jung called this individuation, the journey of becoming whole. Not perfect, whole. You can be kind and strong, compassionate and boundaried, loving and wise. And when someone tries to twist your kindness into weakness, you don't shrink, you stand firm. Because, as Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And now that you see the pattern, it no longer controls you. So here's the truth. The people who hate your kindness are not your enemies. They are your mirrors. They reveal where you need stronger boundaries, where you're still seeking approval, where your kindness might be performative instead of authentic. But once you see them as mirrors, not threats, you step into power. That's the paradox of kindness. It becomes stronger the less it needs to be accepted. Jung called this the transcendent function, the ability to hold both paradoxes at once. To be kind and clear, to be soft and strong, to give and protect. This is true psychological freedom. You're no longer at the mercy of others' projections. You're no longer trapped in your own need for love. You're simply, quietly, powerfully kind. And that kind of kindness, it doesn't seek permission. It doesn't need validation. It transforms the world without forcing it. Carl Jung was right. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. And once you awaken, your kindness becomes unshakable. Because it's no longer about others. It's about being who you truly are. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to support this channel further, you can now leave a super thanks below. Every bit helps us continue sharing Jung's timeless wisdom with the world. Stay kind, stay powerful, and above all, stay true to yourself.